This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diving. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. On the birthday boy for today, June 23rd, is a former NHL goalie and a goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I know it's a little bit biased because, I'm a Leaf fan and all that, but I grew up knowing this guy as the Leafs goalie because when he started being when he was the number one goalie in 1993, I was 8 years old, so I grew up with him as a Leaf fan, as a Leaf goalie. He also played for the New York Islanders, Vancouver Canucks, LA Kings, and Boston Bruins. But this guy was solid. His name is Felix the Cat Potvin, who's now 52 years old. Felix the Cat played with Chicoutimi in the Quebec Major Junior League. And in 91, he was playoff MVP as Chicoutimi went all the way to the Memorial Cup finals. Well, went to the Memorial Cup playoffs before being bounced by Spokane. The Leafs decided to take him 31st overall in the 1990 NHL draft in the second round. You may be asking yourselves, well, was he a good goalie and all that? Well, when you look at the goalies that were drafted in 1990 before him, Trevor Kidd was drafted 11th by the Flames, and the Devils drafted Martin Brodeur 20th overall. Yes, this was the draft in which Martin Brodeur was drafted. And the funny thing was that Calgary and New Jersey actually traded their picks. The Devils had the number 11 pick and traded down, and the Flames wanted to get Trevor Kidd, so they made the deal with the Devils. It actually worked out terribly for Calgary, because the deal with the Devil always is bad, but the deal with the Devils, yeah. So anyway, Potvin was the first goalie in the second round, or the third goalie overall to be drafted. The Leafs took him. The second round was kind of pathetic. Brady Semchuk, anyone? But anyway, Felix Potvin went 31st overall in the 90 draft by the Leafs, who decided to wean him. So in 92, he played in the AHL for the St. John's Maple Leafs, and helping win Rookie of the Year and top goalie in the AHL, which was pretty impressive and all that. Felix Potvin actually was had 4 games in 92 with the Leafs, and memorably got faked out of his underwear by Jeremy Roenick while both teams were wearing their 75th anniversary jerseys. And it was weird seeing Felix Potvin with a cage mask. He was wearing the cage mask, and number 29, but he was wearing the cage mask. But in 93, he would wear the normal mask with the Felix the Cat style mask, and it was amazing. He was considered to be a good goalie, but the Leafs had Grant Fuhr in net by way of a trade with the Oilers. However, Potvin's rapid acceleration and development made them realize Potvin was the future, and traded Grant Fuhr to Buffalo for Dave Anderchuk, which actually worked out well for the Leafs. He was number 1 in the NHL in goals against and had a good 91% save percentage. He was really good. His performances in the 93 Stanley Cup playoffs are legendary. I mean, without Potvin, I think Toronto would have been goosed in the first round by the Red Wings. I mean, let's look at it this way. He was pretty good and all that. And the Leafs thanked him for that. His goaltending was amazing. What he did against the Red Wings, Blues, and Kings, despite the fact that the Leafs did lose Game 7 of the Stanley Cup semifinals. Of course, no fault of their own. Thanks a lot, Carey Fraser. Potvin was a finalist for the Calder Trophy. Unfortunately, this was also the year of Teemu Selanne and Joe Juneau being great rookies and scoring points like there's no tomorrow. Teemu obviously won the Calder, or Rookie of the Year. In 94, he did a little bit better. People thought he was going to have the famous sophomore jinx. But no, he put up 34 wins and a .289 goals against average, which was pretty amazing. In the 94 playoffs, in the first round against the Blackhawks, he put up 3 shutouts, all by 1-0 scores, harkening back to the old days. Because the Leafs and Hawks were both playing in original 6 arenas. The Leafs at Maple Leaf Gardens and the Blackhawks at Chicago Stadium. So yeah, it was 1-0. It reminded everyone of the old days, the very old days. Potvin's third shutout of the Hawks by 1-0 was actually the last game ever played at Chicago Stadium. NHL game, I mean. The Bulls still played a few games in the NBA after the Blackhawks were done. But yeah, 1-0. Mike Gardner, by the way, was the last guy to score at Chicago Stadium. And Felix the Cat looked pretty good and all that. Again, thanks to him, the Leafs took care of the Sharks in the second round, which was shocking. They almost blew it. They were down 3-2, but thankfully Game 6 and 7 were both in Toronto, and they won both. Unfortunately, the Magic stopped as Vancouver and Kirk McLean stopped them dead in the tracks in 5 games. Despite all that, the Leafs were pretty good. Potvin did well in 95, although the Blackhawks got revenge for that previous season scrap. And then in 96, he got to the All-Star game and all that. Unfortunately, Potvin was the losing goalie, as Ray Bourque's game-winning goal was off of Potvin. He saved over 2,400 shots one year, which was a record before Roberto Luongo broke that. And the Leafs needed someone. They could still rely on Potvin, but they couldn't make the playoffs. The Leafs found out that Cujo, Curtis Joseph, was available. Edmonton let him go for some dumb reason. But anyway, yeah, free agency. And Cujo led Edmonton to the shock first-round defeat of the Avalanche, where he played lights out, and including that Game 7 save off of Kamensky. Thankfully, Ken Dryden, who was president of the Leafs at the time, which was weird because, Dryden was a Leaf killer as a member of the Habitants, found out that, talked to Cujo's agent, Don Meehan, after Dryden was taking his son Michael to get ice cream at the same ice cream parlor, and found out Cujo was available. So, the Leafs took Cujo. It was like, yes! Toronto's going to get him. Potvin was expandable. And all that. So he was traded to the Islanders for Brian Berard and a 6th-round pick. It worked out for the Leafs. I mean, Brian Berard was good. Unfortunately, we all know about Berard's eye injury, which would kind of send him back. The Leafs and all that. He didn't really do that well with the Islanders. And then he was traded with a 2nd and 3rd round pick to Vancouver for Kevin Weeks, Dave Scatchard, and Bill Muckholt. Not really the best move. Potvin struggled and then was dealt to Los Angeles. But with LA, he helped the Kings shock Detroit in the first round of the playoffs and get to the conference finals. They were the 7th seed, but yet they were close to going to the Stanley Cup finals. He had a 196 goals against average that postseason, and pushed Colorado to Game 7 in the second round. I apologize. Yeah, St. Louis was the team in the conference final that Colorado beat, not LA. But yeah, Potvin outdueled Patrick Roy in Game 6 of the Avalanche Kings series, winning 1-0 in double overtime. It was back with the Kings pushing the Avalanche to 7 games in that first round series. The Kings were down 3-1, forced Game 7, but lost. Potvin was then given a contract in 2003 by the Bruins, backing up Andrew Raycroft. And rumors were circulating that Atlanta was going to take Felix the Cat. But Potvin did not have equipment that conformed to the new NHL standards, but he didn't like the two-way contract, so the Thrashers had to go with Steve Shields instead. Potvin lives with his wife and 3 children. In Magog, Quebec. He has 2 daughters and a son. Anyway, Felix the Cat won 266 games in his NHL career with 32 shutouts and a .276 goals against average. In the playoffs, he was 35-37, 264 goals against average. But he had a few big playoff runs with Toronto and one with Los Angeles in 2001. Yeah, so he found new life in LA, which was nice. So yeah, Potvin got to a couple of All-Star games, was the AHL Goalie of the Year and Rookie of the Year. He was named Goalie of the Year in the Canadian Hockey League, because Chicoutimi was pretty good. Well, not in the Memorial Cup, but, I mean, he was the star and got them to the Memorial Cup in the first place, so that's good. And, Felix the Cat Potvin will always rock Toronto fans of the 1990s and all that. Without him, I think the Leafs would not have been that good and got to back-to-back conference finals. But yeah, all hail King Felix. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.